All right, we are going to call this meeting to order. Special note to Christy Evans for providing a good quorum today. Thank you for later. We'll start off with going around the room for introductions. Just name your name and your agency, please. Carlos, you want to?
Carlos, MAPA.
Jim Border with MAPA.
Andy Witt, City Council Bluffs.
Or State of Nebraska DOT District 2.
Jared Walker, Strategic Planning.
Eric Williams, Fabio Energy. Court Barber, MAPA.
Ward MAPA.
Derek Miller, City of Omaha.
Mark McLaughlin, City of Omaha.
Damian Stern, NDOT District 2.
Todd Pitzer, Douglas County.
John Selmer, OBI Creative.
Joe Susi, Lewis Public Works.
Alex Evans, City Pavilion.
Christy Evans, City of Omaha.
Jason Carvey with HDR.
Jill Green, ENA.
Elisa Manuel, MAPA.
Ken Adams, WSB.
Lindsay Button, MAPA. Several people online as well.
Yes, for our online attendees, would you try to introduce yourselves, please?
John Krager, City of Bellevue.
Dan Carpenter, Benish.
Yeah, Sam Hooper, Greater Omaha Chamber.
Rich McFall, Nebraska VR, and chair of CTC.
Evan
Scott
Schweitz, Metro Transit.
Scott Sewer, Iowa DOT.
Okay, it sounds like that is everyone. One last chance if we happen to miss you for an introduction. All right, hearing none. We will start off with approval of the March minutes. They went out with the agenda on this. So if there's any discussion on those minutes, now would be the time. Otherwise, we would be looking for a motion and a second to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion on the floor.
Second.
Okay, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we have approved minutes. Our first agenda item today is Safe Streets for All. And Jim Warner and his project team are going to present that to us.
All right. Good morning, everybody. We're very excited to bring you today our final comprehensive safety action plan for approval. Go to the next slide. We'll go one more. So here's the schedule, just to recap. This is the sixth time that we're coming to this committee to give an update. We're going to talk to you about the community engagement update and about the memorandum of understanding and grant assistance process. So these are really kind of the final steps. The plan would have been available in the agenda. If you hadn't had a chance to take a look at it, we've got some appendices to pull together, and really we're taking action on that plan. So we're looking for a recommendation for approval from you today to the board for approval. We'll look to get it approved and start moving forward. Couple more months in May through June, the team will be helping develop some grant applications, both for the federal level for the Safe Streets, as well as some local projects that would be funded by state highway safety improvement program funds. I'll turn it over to Tim Evans.
Yeah. So before Jim goes over the memorandum of understanding and what that funding looks like, I want to give just a final update on how the engagement turned out for this. So the next slide. In summary, we had over 50 hours of staff time at community events across the region. This is just some of them. Those are some of the public meetings and tabling events. We did community presentations when we were requested out from neighborhood organizations for specific projects that wanted to discuss this, like the Council Bluffs health study, the 4 public meetings, like I said before. We did also a lot of stakeholder engagement. Some of you in this room were maybe part of our focus group meetings, but we made sure we have all these focus areas, right? We made sure we wanted to do and talk to those groups and really get their input on recommendations. So we talked to everything from our hospitals and trauma centers to our schools, to the traffic incident management groups, our police, anyone that would help be part of that safe system approach. We also followed up with one-on-one meetings to help tailor those recommendations and any parts of the plan. We have a couple more of those left with the funding that we were putting together. And then 24 meetings with local jurisdictions. A lot of those have already taken place, where we met with how the MOU is gonna be structured, what kind of recommendations, what would be expected to sign on of these 17 jurisdictions. And then we are following up with some that have requested, that are like, Springfield's gonna put this in front of their city council for approval of the MOU. And they would like a presentation, of the final plan, for example. So, Jim will get into that a bit more, but, please reach out if you want us to be a part of that discussion of the memorandum of understanding. Next slide. So in summary, we had on the left there, you can see some of our in-person events, one of the presentations at open houses, as well as one of our engagement booths at a farmer's market. We had over 2,300 some total interactions with individuals across the MAPA region. And then we had over 500, as of December of 2024, that's when we kind of shut down that online survey. We reopened an online survey though, that we can keep gathering feedback, but we had over 500 responses on our online engagement, making it into the plan that we were able to record, and acknowledge and respond to. And the top 3 safety concerns of the region: speeding, distracted driving, impaired driving. No surprises there. People are really, they can feel those things on their streets, and they know about them. They want us to address these things. The next slide. So I want to go over lastly what a lot of this you had seen before. So the new things that have come in engagement were these public meeting activity results. We asked folks to look at these toolboxes we had made and really get their responses on what they wanted to see in their region. So it's a democracy. They can vote with stickers. We gave them some information on each one of these. And so on the next slide, you'll see we have our behavioral countermeasures on the left. So those are the ones that are educational based, more systemic. And then on the right are the results of our pedestrian bicyclist countermeasures. So you can see people want on the left, a lot of votes for reducing speeds, slow zones, speed reductions, super ride programs, automated enforcement. The last one is a little timely because of legislation that has been in Nebraska Judiciary Committee. Might not make it out, but definitely it's being talked about right now. Top 3 safety concern pedestrian bicyclists, protected bike lanes, raised crossings, and then tie between safe routes to school and sidewalk connections. Next slide. Then we look at segment countermeasures, one-way to two-way street conversions. I was surprised on this one because it doesn't actually have the highest crash reduction factor. It does. You see safety benefits, especially for pedestrians. But you can tell people, we didn't tell them how to vote, and they definitely like that idea. Horizontal traffic calming, and then tie between roadway configurations. Roadway reconfigurations, aka road diets, raised medians, access management, and then intersection countermeasures, roundabouts, always stop control conversions, and modifications, left turn hard. And then our last one, we have the 5th category is our rural highways. Systemic stop control, shoulder installations, and then more roundabouts. Any thoughts on that? Any surprises? Questions?
On your top list of safety concerns with that, where red light running fall into that list of stuff?
Yep. Yeah, we had I believe red light running was one of our I think people could input a list of things or manually input, and that was part of it. I can follow up though and make sure that was either a manual, it might have been a manual input or the checkbox. But we've heard that consistently. Red light running keeps popping up. Yeah. Then on the next slide, I think I'm actually handing it over back to Jim to talk about the MOU.
Sure. So to kind of add on to what was put there, that the team came up with the Vision Zero toolbox. So those were those things that were asked to be commented on. Many of them are the federal highways, proven safety countermeasures, or measures that both states are looking to fund. So it's good that a lot of those are consistent, that the public, I guess, we're seeing are interested in, at least those that took the opportunity to come and talk to us in countermeasures that are both known to be proven to reduce those kinds of crashes, but also that are eligible kinds of activities for funding. And so that's really what I want to get into now. All of you and the other communities that are not members of TTAC but are supported by this plan will receive this community profile hopefully today. And it really, you know, the plan is large, it's comprehensive, it's good, but this is a goal to help each individual community pull out impacts that they have. So understanding, I guess we can kind of go through from the top left down, just a quick overview of the city itself, those outcomes based upon population, and then focus areas. So throughout the planning process, we've looked at representation ratio or instances where individuals are in a crash, what's the probability that it will result in a fatal or serious injury. And so even just paging through these yesterday as I was reviewing them, it's interesting to see each community is different, right? And so with the outcomes, we understand that the safety improvements that you might want to put into place are different. We understand the politics that you face and the decision-making processes that you go through are different. And so the goal with the memorandum of understanding process and these tailored community profiles are really to hopefully make it easy to go through that process, to take this forward through staff and then up to city council, mayor, whatever that process is for signature. So the recommendations come from those 50 recommendations that we've talked about in previous months, again, tailored based upon those outcomes, crash outcomes, and also just consideration for each community is different. Are you growing? Are you landlocked? Are you, maybe have more or less of different road network types that would lend itself to better countermeasures. And then the safety metrics are our goal across the region. We would say if we convert these many signals to roundabouts, we can have this impact. So really kind of starting to take those measurables where we know roundabouts can reduce by a given factor over time, fatal and serious injuries, and really just taking that steady approach to reducing fatal and serious injuries using these countermeasures. Planning, we took a look a while back at just individual policies and practices that communities had taken on, and I'll make a plug for supplemental planning activities out of Safe Streets. Now there is funding to come up with and help your community develop a complete streets design standard, traffic calming policies, what have you. Both the city of Omaha and Council Bluffs have looked at using funding, and hopefully we'll have funding unlocked here soon to get things like this. And then finally, just a map with locations and prioritized safety projects. I won't go through it all. There's a nice full page spread in the plan that talks about how these prioritized safety projects were identified. You'll remember a couple months ago, we had a conversation about benefit cost calculations that the team has used, the US DOTs and Nebraska and Iowa's, because they're all different and they all kind of plug into different grant opportunities. So we wanted to make sure each project was weighed across those three benefit cost processes. Yes.
Question
Certainly.
on that. I find it interesting based on my experience with public information meetings and things. It seems like the people that answered the questions are safety engineers. These are answers that we would want, but typically when I go to a meeting, I don't get that response that they're happy for a roundabout or a road diet or anything like that. Did you see anything different? I would figure if you had an advertised meeting, those that are concerned about safety would go to it. Those that aren't would not go to it, or that aren't necessarily going to give input. Did you see anything different, say, where you had the farmers market versus meetings where people were kind of invited or interested in that? Because it seems like once we get into there, I know we had trouble when I was in Iowa with cameras, privacy issues. or roundabouts, you always have the agricultural side, or the trucking industry is always bringing that up. I was wondering, was there any way of capturing that, or did you, in terms of, we have these, but what concerns you about these treatment strategies?
I think the farmer's market were a perfect example. People weren't ready for us, so they weren't thinking about it. The communication staff and even MAPA staff were very outgoing. So some of them may not have even wanted to stop at our booth, and we got them there after the fact. And so we had some really great conversations. I would say part of it was an opportunity for education, and yeah, I think a lot of consistent things we heard. We heard a lot about concerns with schools. We heard, and just really unique ones, things that we didn't like. Crescent, Iowa, for example, all the students drive to one location of one of the schools, and they get on buses and they get bused to Council Bluffs to go to school. So there's a whole interaction there. Carter Lake is very similar. There are these places where people come to at 2 times out of the day, and what is normally a quiet area all of a sudden has a lot of traffic. So I think we were able to learn things that we wouldn't have gotten out of data otherwise.
Did you get any, capture any demographic data in terms of, am I have family, or am I single, or anything like that, in terms of how they reacted? Or these are the different options.
We had some optional demographic data. It was 519 online survey points. We didn't make it mandatory. And we require demographic data in like how you're traveling with that safety concern you'd identified. I'll say red light running was one of the drop downs. So we have how they were traveling and why they were concerned with that safety issue. And I'll just add, we and everyone in this room knows, we had a lot of those conversations of like how you feel about things when there was an active safety problem. Great example is 30th Street. We had a community presentation to Crane Castle and some community members up there. Obviously with that vehicle going into that daycare center, everyone knew that there was a problem. And they had no idea kind of where to go with the solution at that point. And so we really had a good coverage. They wanted to put up a ton more signals or have resting red lights along that corridor. And so we were able to have a really productive conversation about, now that's, again, like explain to them, right? But as you know, that takes tons of conversation. But there was a huge educational event when they kind of realized they saw the data, and then we kind of pushed them into a different direction of, no, you don't want to ask the city to put all their signals to red lights on 30th. So.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's still coming up, huh?
All you gotta do is time the signal.
My driver's license makes me an engineer. Do you know?
I know it always.
Yeah, we used the Iowa DOT roundabout video. They have a really good animated one. And so, as they sat there and talked, they would relate the story like, yeah, I saw that a week ago, where somebody did something that, trying to get out of the way of the car that stops in front of you to make a turn, for example. So we use terms that we're very comfortable with, and I think it's hard to communicate that clearly. It takes a lot of focus to make sure that they understand the question that you're asking, even much less the kind of the available answers.
I enjoyed John's comment though. I mean, you sit on your screen, says more roundabouts. I have yet to be at a roundabout public hearing that anybody didn't want to just lynch me for presenting this roundabout.
Yeah.
They're the stupidest things, and you're not. It's like,
I think the biggest difference there is that when you're actually about to do it, when you're sitting there, right, when the project is coming together, you're getting the people who are right there and they're very interested in that particular intersection. And this is more people who are interested in the high level. Broad. I think that's really it. You are getting different people
who didn't care about transportation safety, and they didn't show up at the meetings, as John indicated.
Sure. Yeah.
And now you're building it a block from their house, and it's like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'm good as long as it's somewhere else, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a scenario that does happen throughout. Like, it doesn't matter if you're in California, Nebraska, or anywhere, those are the interactions and the opportunities to educate and come together as a community to understand what the bigger goal is. And for us, the bigger goal is to reduce these fatal and severe crashes. And I think if we can align that that is our overarching goal, whether you're Gretna, Council Bluffs, or the city of Omaha, we're coming together to understand that this is a regional big problem that we're trying to resolve. And it'll take work. It's not gonna be easy.
Yeah,
And
sometimes
Todd,
what
you've been-
we would do is be a little bit more provocative, instead of saying, I don't know, I'm kind of late to the game, and this when you advertise these, is we're gonna talk about installing roundabouts, road diets, camera enforcement. And, under the safety, so that for some, those are trigger words, and okay, you're gonna talk about these, I'm gonna show up for sure, Okay.
Stepping back to, this was good to look at the community profile level, but when you look at what the plan identified, you're 11.72 times more likely to be killed or seriously injured in a crash and signalized intersection in our region. We know that. You're less likely in a roundabout, and you put those two together, a roundabout is 30, you're 30 times less likely to be killed or seriously injured in a roundabout. So to be able to communicate it that way, to get to where we need to do we have to have roundabouts? I don't know. Does it get us there a lot quicker than other safety improvements? It really does. So,
I agree. Don't take my comments.
So trying to find a way, and it's easy for me to say that. I'm the planner that's coming up with a plan and handing it to all of you to go execute. So we do want to find a way that part of our, I guess I'll take us to the next slide. That's probably a good segue. I'll start with this. This is what we're asking for. Each of you should have seen this. Thank you to those that have replied. If there are questions from other folks that people have. Again, as Tim offered, if you need MAPA staff at city council meeting or a working group session, or just to come and talk with staff, all of that is available to you, and we definitely want to do it. The MOU for us, it lists through those things there. But really where we're getting at, and especially for the safe streets, if you would like our support in applying for a safe street, or just generally things that we're reading to have this memorandum of understanding is going to make you much more competitive for federal discretionary funding. And really just, it helps us understand where you're at. It's written, to be support rather than require, to give you an opportunity to tailor your community. Hopefully some of that's already been done in the community profiles, so we're not asking you to do things that wouldn't be consistent with at least your safety problems in your region. But again, our goal is to have these done in the next couple months. Realize if you got to go through your city council or your county board, that takes a bit of time, and we're committed to doing that. So please follow up. We'll continue following up with all of you as well. Next slide, please. So this is the exciting part, that the notice of funding opportunity is open. We've seen the first round of webinars, and so there's some key things that we're understanding with, but the exciting part is money is still there. A lot of the processes are still there. Our comprehensive safety action plan will meet the requirements to make you eligible, either for those projects that our plan identifies, or if you want to do additional planning, there are things that you want to look at, demonstration activities that you want to do, we're ready to support. So we've, the WSP team is committed to developing one implementation grant. We're going to be doing that with the city of Omaha, and we're working on that actively now. And just to make things really exciting, that includes multi-lane roundabouts. So we'll see how we go. Supplemental planning and demonstration grant. If you can envision it, you can probably get money for it. So I would ask, we'll go through a list on the following slide, but if you have questions and there are things that you want to do and you found yourself saying, we just don't know how to do it, there's probably an opportunity here. It is continually, annually undersubscribed. So that money is available there. And if you want to do implementation and put planning and demonstration along with it, you can do that all in one application. So here's again, all those activities that you can, that are eligible for the Safe Streets funding. any questions on that list? I couldn't speak to all of them, right off the bat, but there's they gave some really good examples. So there are some, being a regional plan, there are things that we would want to do that improve outcomes in the region. Some communities really focused on emergency services, so emergency response and just things that we always say are hard to do, that, they put together basically a coordination and a communication process that went across the region, and they're seeing real results. So it doesn't have to be, something that everybody in this room is more familiar with. We can definitely get at it in other programs as well.
Jim, I'm gonna ask a question.
Yeah.
You were at the TIM meeting earlier this week, and we did an accident crash debrief on Highway 133 and Highway 336 between Omaha and Blair. Very dangerous intersection. We're seeing fatalities annually, high speeds. We sort of left that meeting without a solution. Everybody agreed we have a problem.
Yeah.
I threw out a roundabout. I threw out a grade separated crossing. Would a project like that on 2 state highways be eligible for an application of this type of thing?
So yes, they did open up to state facilities, allow coordination with the state. So the funding is still meant for local communities to take advantage of. But yes, we have projects identified on the state system within the MPO. So for this funding, it would take being identified within that comprehensive safety action plan or that planning tool that they put together. But yeah, funding can be done in coordination with them. That one might be harder because if it's just a rural intersection, then probably not as likely.
Well,
but
we can talk about it
Yeah.
offline, and it's not, I mean, it's a state, it's really a state issue. It's 2 state highways.
Yeah.
So it's not really mine, but I was at the meeting and it's real, people are dying out there.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not being dramatic, it's bad.
So we can absolutely look at that. I don't remember what your.
I'll talk to you.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
argument can be made that it's only gonna be rural.
And that's
That's why I said, I mean, it's a divided section with turn lanes.
Yeah.
Protected turn movements and a signal, so that, to me, that's not very rural, but I don't know exactly what the definition is.
Yeah.
We've got an intersection in Iowa that on US 59 in Iowa 2 where there's been a lot of fatal crashes, and we're looking at probably building a roundabout there using traffic safety funds. And it's
So,
like
it's received, but it won't help.
I'm not involved with the safety,
And maybe that's a conversation we can continue to have. I mean, it sounds like a serious conversation that it impacts.
Well, they presented all the data at the TIM meeting and I said, it sounds to me like it's time to build a roundabout. It was like, wow. It's like, put the brakes on, but we need to look at it. It's a serious issue and it needs to be looked at.
Yeah, if we can support with the data on that. I mean, if you guys look at the action plan online.
question.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to throw in here too, I know maybe another question, but I encourage people to go on to the DOT's website to check this out and see examples of each one of these, but like, you see the word under demonstration, new technology pilot program, and it's just a big word up there. But overall, the demonstration means we wanna try something new and do it quickly, right? So like a new technology pilot, I've used this example before, but there is a place that in Colorado, they got funding to help to get new speed enforcement cameras in all their police vehicles. Because they're way out of date, they never had funding to do this, and this would really help them out. They got funding to do that. So don't just think infrastructure, take this back to your law enforcement, to your, like we said, EMS, if you wanna collaborate with anybody that's part of that safe system that has an idea of we could really help out with safety on our roadways. This program can probably get you 80% of those funds to do it, especially in those first 2 columns. Another one, stakeholder engagement and collaboration. If you guys had a thought like, man, it'd be really great if we had educational videos to share about blank with safety. That's supplemental planning, you can get funds to do that, so.
Yeah.
Think of anything, so.
So,
Maybe I missed on the last slide, but can you speak to the, like, project limits? Is there up to this much? Is there local funding match?
There are, so they didn't, the limits are based upon wanting to give X number of projects out, so they capped it really at 10 million, you can have more. There's a minimum for implementation grants. There's similarly, and I should have put it up here, we can definitely make sure that that gets sent out. But there's also some other things they're looking at, so they really do want low cost, region-wide measures. They want you to be getting at regional safety problems, or they did specify a corridor. So in the webinar, they threw out a term, if it doesn't cover more than 25%, that was kind of a random number.
25%.
Of a region, yeah, so, I think what's. I don't think that's the be all and the end all with this, but there are different eligibility criteria in this one than I think there has been in the past, so it'd be worth looking at, and we'll definitely work with you if you do have questions, so, yeah.
so, I'm sorry, you said 80%, and this is federal funding, so that means full MAPA, any construction stuff, is that right?
It would be following federal funding rules. Yeah.
And then on the implementation, I saw earlier there was some breakdown of benefit cost ratio stuff. Is that a criteria that is used in evaluating applications?
So, yeah, that's a great question. Most, raised grants or whatever else, you can go through the full benefit cost analysis. That's not a requirement for this opportunity. One, and just, I think it would be very difficult for them to review, but they're gonna pull it back. So they're gonna do a cost analysis, basically looking at the number of injuries and fatalities that you're preventing by doing that project, and they've specified that they're using the federal societal cost basically to come up with that. So there will be a ranking using that. Again, it's not clear to me how much of that would be involved with selection as opposed to the other criteria, but that's, you won't have to do a full benefit cost analysis, I guess would be the plus side.
Yeah, and the question is on active transportation stuff with sidewalks, trail connections at intersections. If we don't yet have a lot of people using the facilities, it's hard to document the number of accidents or serious injuries that did not occur.
And that could be one of these follow-up data collection and data analysis, right? So like post-crash data collection and identification of improvements for emergency response is a follow-up data collection action item that could be applied for if a certain community, region, or county wishes to go further with that. Or getting information about sidewalks, right? So the NRD could partner with the city or a couple of others and do a giant sidewalk and trail. We really want to, and have 80% of the funds provided to do that work. And we'd be happy to maintain the data for you.
Along the same lines as that, or if you go back to the retina profile, talking about some of these interactions with the local municipalities. I don't know what that looks like with some state projects that we currently have in the system.
Yep.
Like just the bullet point 2 and bullet point 3 of 370 and I-80 and Highway 50 and I-80. We have projects in the system right now, and those projects don't work without looking at those adjacent intersections that have known histories to begin with, so.
Yep, so, part of what MAPA does, I sit on the NDOT Highway Safety Committee, so kind of that entrance process for projects, so along with Safe Streets, there's definitely an opportunity, and what we're looking to do is promote more use of the Highway Safety Improvement Program funds, which they support. And that there are absolutely projects in our region that had highway safety improvement aspects to them. 144th Street, for example, used some HSIP funding to add trails on either side when that was reconstructed. So yeah, I think that's the goal of this plan too. So in fact, I just was talking this morning about finding a way to overlap those, so to understand where you're at in programming, what a project looks like, and to get something, into the work, so it's combined with your maintenance project, or in this case, whatever improvement that is, would also include those safety improvements.
Well, just for those two intersections or interchanges alone, and those were the proposed DEIs. that we're gonna do. So how does that function with those adjacent intersections?
Okay. Yep, that's a great point. Okay. Close out here. All right, so here's where we're at. We are finishing one-on-one meetings. If there is something about the plan that you would like to talk to us about, I think we might have another placeholder for the team to come in and talk with you. But any questions that you have, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. safestreets@mapacog.org will get myself and a couple other staff. So if I'm not directly available, it'll get your question into us. Please let us know how we can help you get these memorandums of understanding through and signed by your community. And if you have interest in Safe Streets for All grant applications, again, note that this year there's only a single application deadline, and that's June 26th. We'll be publishing the plan on our website after board approval next week. Very excited about that, and we'll continue sharing with you some of the appendice material as well as that final post. So at the end of the day, we'll have some online tools that will help you identify projects. It'll identify those high priority network areas. We're gonna have if you want to do a budgeting exercise with the number of projects, you can pull in these projects and we'll have some budgeting tools that we'll share separately as well. So our goal is to make this as seamless as possible for you. I guess I will note too, the implementation grant, the narrative section is only it's a limited 12 pages. So it's not a huge application. The supplemental planning and demonstration is 2 pages. So they're reasonable in that aspect, and the comprehensive safety action plan provides you that eligibility.
Jim, that deadline is a ways off, so we've got some time. Would you and or somebody from your staff maybe be available to come out and meet with an office like mine and help us? So that we could have a focal point and try to give you something that would be helpful.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'll follow up with that.
Great. Thank you. Yep.
And is having an executed MOU a prerequisite for submitting an application?
At this point, yes, we can talk more later, but I think it really wouldn't be fair to other jurisdictions to give you an opportunity ahead of those that have shown that commitment. Yeah.
I think the bigger thing with the signing of the MOUs is that kind of shows that your community is on board with the safety action plan, and for a project to be eligible for funding, it has to be included in a safety action plan. So if there is a plan, but you're not signed on to it, then you wouldn't necessarily meet that eligibility criteria.
All right, thank you, everybody. We're really excited about this. This has been a really good planning exercise. I personally am really excited to take it from a planned action. So any help that you need to help us get you there, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Great job, guys.
Thank you. This is really good stuff.
Yep. All right. Oh, we need to vote.
So we'll go to the next
approve whether or not. Are there any questions? Anybody? So we do need to vote on whether or not we are going to go and present this to the board so that MAP can present this final study to the board. Is there a motion or such? Motion. Morris has a motion. I will second that motion. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Same sign if you are against it. All right, motion passes. Now we can move on to item C and L. Ellen or L? Thank you. Is going to present our TIP amendment number 6.
Amendment 6 includes a total of 3 projects, 2 which are City of Omaha projects and 1 Iowa DOT. The first project and only one of fiscal impact MAPA is the City of Omaha's Beltline Trail Field Club Trail Connection Study, which has become active again, and its funding programming was updated from fiscal year 24 to fiscal year 25. And then the second City of Omaha project is the North 19th Streetcar Extension Transit-Oriented Development Implementation. Its discretionary funding has doubled, so now totaling at $300,000 for general planning in fiscal year 25. And then finally, in Iowa DOT system preservation projects, NHPP funding increased from $4,200,300 to $6.5 million for construction. And the programming for this project is also updated from fiscal year 28 to fiscal year 25.
Are there any questions on those items on that amendment 6?
Not a question, but word of support to the city of Omaha. The Beltline Trail Phase 3 is under construction with the trailhead at Hamilton and Military, just west of 40th and Hamilton. So I'm very glad to see this study continuing, especially with the potential that between that trailhead and 40th and Hamilton, some streetscape work might be considered. There's a lot of redevelopment going on in the area, so the investigation of effective and safe transportation infrastructure in that location, really glad to see it, glad to support in any way we can. And the trailhead portion of the trail there will be done by the end of this year. So glad to know that the study for connecting it down to UNMC, to Field Club actually, is underway. Yeah, so thanks, Omaha. Glad to partner with you any way we can.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, motion to approve tip amendment 6. Have a motion by Joe. Second, Eric. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. That concludes our action items for today. We'll move into discussion items now, and the first one being, this is a public comment opportunity. If there's anybody here that would like to make a comment or has any questions about this process or procedure, now would be the time. Okay, hearing none. I don't see Mike Helgerson, so I'm assuming, Carlos, you're gonna be solo duck on this one. You're gonna present some state and federal policy updates.
Yeah, I'll just give a brief on some of the bills that may not make it through on the Nebraska side. There was not a lot of activity. One of the ones that we were very focused on was the red light enforcement. Some of that work in testifying went through. However, I believe the Sheriff's Association put in a letter that kind of may have delayed this for this year. It's not likely to go forward. So that's the big update. On the Iowa side, the hands-free bill did pass and is becoming law starting July 1st of this year. So that's a great win for the Iowa side and supporting safety. Now to the meat of the subject. As this new administration and our current IIJA is set to expire by September 30th of next year, there are now talks about reauthorization. The House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee launched a portal to start collecting information for building the reauthorization or the important aspects of reauthorization. You can chat or you can take a picture of the QR code or the longer form there, where you can make a comment about what should the priorities be in future transportation reauthorization. On the MAPA side, we're following this closely as it involves a lot of our work. And our 4 kind of key priorities for this has been and continues to be to increase and improve PL funding to the region, reduce local match requirements, currently set at 80%. Several local communities we work with, especially on the more rural side, have a more difficult time matching that 20%. So one of the things that we've seen in the new bill is the availability of matching the federal funds at 90%, but not a lot of projects or locations have been able to take advantage of that. So we're trying to leverage that a little bit more. Support local decision making, and then finally shifting discretionary to more formula based. We saw this great success on SS4A. We wish that to continue as a direct discretionary funding, programmatically formula based to local MPOs to help disperse some of this money. And like, I don't know everyone's experience, but some of the HSIP funding has been difficult to navigate and or use throughout the region, to say lightly. And so having a little bit more local control on how we could spend safety funds within our region would be most appreciated. So those are the four main kind of priorities for MAPA and how we are gonna tackle this challenge. Again, we're backed by same or similar information from the AMPO, NARC, and NATO, some of the other national organizations looking at same or similar platforms. Next up is on the other side of the spectrum, the new US DOT department is requesting information. They have an RFI out for streamlining regulation. So if you go to the website or make a comment to transportation regulatory info at .gov, you can make comments on existing regulations, how to fix some of the burdensome regulations that are currently in place. There's a whole set of information and guidance within that request for information. It's put through the Federal Register. Again, they're just taking in comments about how to streamline some of the issues and concerns locals and others have faced in trying to implement some of these projects. So definitely a good opportunity to voice some of these concerns with regards to NEPA or some of the implications behind it. Next up. So one of the things that we've also heard in the last couple of weeks, all these things have happened in the last couple of weeks, is the return of the community project funding request. Last week, I believe, representatives from the Office of Don Bacon provided pre-proposal briefings regarding this year's process. And one of the things that we are asking local institutions is come to us, let's talk, let's figure out what you want to do with this funding. And the reason MAPA cares, the reason we're involved is most of the time when these funds are programmed, they have to be programmed in our TIP. And so we want to make sure to breed success and have the most successful projects. So come to us, let's talk about your projects, let's find out how we can get you the most support that we can. The process is seeking highway trust fund dollars due to sue and should be submitted to NDOT's grant parent portal. So for those unaware, NDOT does have a grant parent portal where you can request for letters of support and additional grant assistance. So filling out grants, etc. They do have kind of longer lead time. You have at least 3 months in advance to submit information to them so that they can help you with the grant application itself. But letters of support should be pretty easy and quick. If you need letters of support from MAPA, feel free to contact me and we'll get that to you. So that's the other thing that's going on.
Carlos, can I? The grant parent portal is simple. I mean, it's a 5 to 10 minute process.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be something that's cumbersome. So between that and the letter of support request that is noted down below, it's 10 minutes maximum, and it's information that you're already gonna have at hand.
It says should, not shall. Is it required?
I would not think so.
The reason I asked, because we've in the past with Bacon's, we'll just call it what it is, earmarks. We've had community groups apply, receive grants, we're not aware of them, City of Omaha specifically, Public Works is not aware of them. And meaning Public Works gets to manage those, and it's created a lot of extra work. So I don't know if we can talk to Bacon's office and say, hey, can we get some better coordination going?
And I completely second all of that area.
And I think we're on the same page. We're currently talking about some of the letters of support requests that we're receiving, and we're talking to one another. One of the ones we do know is being resubmitted is North 24th Street. But we're talking about it. which is step one. Eventually, you know, I do believe some of the project work that we're working on with trips and the project prioritization pilot program that hopefully comes through will help alleviate some of those concerns. So that is still waiting, but
Yeah, so again, that's great that we get the money, these are good projects. But a lot of times there's a lot of wasted time to coordinate all this, so if you get requests for letters of support, just say, hey, you need to coordinate with the city of Omaha, how it works. Or if it's like a trail project or something that works.
yeah, and they're short term, right? They have a lifespan of 3 years to get spent. So if you do not have a shovel ready project that is able to get going, I would recommend come talk to us and let's figure out how we get you the shovel ready. Because these are very short-lived funds. And that puts a lot of strain, a lot of resources to try to get it done. And if you have additional questions, comments, concerns, let us know. We're here to help. Okay, I think that's it.
Thank you, Carlos. So we do have time for member agency updates. I guess, Morris, normally, I don't think MapStat has anything you want to add to. Morris, you want to run us through your project?
Okay.
Get started with you.
Okay, the Highway 50, 370 to L Street. All the bridge work is done. They're working on the Harrison Street intersection. We're gonna turn that into a double turn lane all 4 directions. And they're doing some curb inlet work between there and Giles. And you know, they're doing some, they're just beginning to mill and fill along the entire roadway from Sapp Brothers north to L Street. So right now they're building, so they're gonna overlay that whole thing. Sapp Brothers all the way down. Highway 6, 192nd, August completion. They're shooting to be done in July for that Highway 50 or 370 job. And then the 192nd Virgin Diamond looks for an August completion, but next week, I think, they're gonna open up the Virgin Diamond itself. And it'll just be 1 lane each direction until they finish up work on either side. And okay, Dodge Street, Skyline 168, they should be done in May. Right now, they're working at 180th. They're doing exactly what they did at 168th. They're also working down below on 204th Street underneath Dodge Street. So they'll be doing major repairs under there. Highway 75 from 34 to Q. Looking for a June completion there. All the major work is done. We're waiting for the weather to do the concrete sealer on the roadway. 480 Missouri River Bridge. That'll be going on until October 26th. Bridge painting and deck repairs. Right now they've got the westbound down to 1 lane coming out of Council Bluffs. And let's see, 12th Street. It's the continuation of that from the 480 bridge, or Missouri River Bridge, 12th Street. Right now we closed the Dodge Street exit westbound. We'll have to get off on 14th. And we should be done with that closure by May 1st for the eastbound traffic to get off on Dodge Street. Right now, we got about a week's worth of work on the westbound CD road from 680 to Q. All we have left there is permanent strike. And we're building some new high mast towers, just about every interchange from L Street to, we'll go wraps all the way around the Missouri River.
You get environmental clearance to lay those things all over in the grass.
It's got to be beautiful. Oh,
Just saying.
Done all right away.
Oh, yeah. No clearance needed.
I mean, they did put some of those new towers in protected areas. I don't know what kind of.
You know, I probably shouldn't have said anything. Carry on.
It's on tape, right? That takes care of those IMAX towers. Okay, the I-80 westbound, Q to Giles. We're adding a lane there, widening the bridge over the Papio Creek. Westbound traffic is reduced to 2 lanes. And tied into that job is I-80 westbound off-ramp to Highway 50. We're adding another lane off-ramp. When westbound traffic has been reduced to 2 lanes since it's coming off that project just east of it. But when we start working on the bridge over the Giles Road, we're gonna turn eastbound traffic into 2 lanes. I think we're gonna close the on-ramp. Giles. So wait for that. I'm not quite sure when they're gonna start that.
I got people at church all over me because of the stuff you're doing. So, you know.
Looked like they were starting to get ready to put the curtains in place and all that, right?
Oh, I mean,
On the westbound side, it looks like they had.
oh yeah, for the painting of the Harrison Street Bridge. Yeah,
Sorry, so there's one new lane going westbound, there's also something eastbound?
no, we're gonna close it because we're gonna be doing work on the bridge over the Giles Road.
Yeah, okay.
And we're gonna start in the middle, do the middle half. Well, the traffic's already 2 lanes going west, we're gonna put 2 lanes going east.
I think the majority of that's for the girder painting on Harrison,
Yeah.
they're doing that at the same time,
Yeah.
that's why they're putting those curtains up.
Yep. And then when we get done, we'll shift the traffic to the completed inside to the outside.
And it's not a through lane, it's just an aux lane connecting.
Got it, thanks.
Yeah, wait till we get to that point. Then okay, Highway 275 from Nebraska 64 to Dodge Street, that's underway, pavement repair. The joint crack sealing, and then we'll repair the high friction surface on the viaduct by Waterloo. But that's underway now, we got pretty much a lane closed going southbound. And another one we got, it started up there, it's been going. Highway 50 and Highway 31 intersection. We're gonna add some lanes here for the turning lanes. Just to make that, we got traffic shoved to the east side right now. We got 1 lane running over the existing shoulder. So we get that done and then Highway 50 and 31 will be a little better intersection. Some project gonna be starting here soon. Dodge Street again, 156 to 132nd. We'll be doing what we're doing, like we did on 168. It's the bridge repairs up on top. That's 156, 150th, 144th, and 132nd interchanges. So that'll be good. That starts 4/28 next week. That should be about it. Oh, wait, Highway 6 again, Dodge Street, 161st to 127th. This will be down on Dodge Street itself. It's pavement repair, mill and overlay, night work. So it'll be busy up there.
I'm glad to see the city's repair at 132nd Street took place right before we go move in there with our construction. Considering those approaches have been ramps for
I don't get off.
10 years.
I drive through there all the time.
And we know it's been an issue, but it finally gets addressed right before we move in.
We'll probably end up tearing it out.
Yeah, we will, the whole thing's coming out. It'll be smoother for construction.
Okay. So that's all I got.
Way to look at the negative.
Couple of quick updates on the planning side. We are moving forward with our complete streets policy development and implementation. Should have that in place in the next 12 to 18 months in our design manual. In the interim, our roadway design team is making, evaluating for changes during that 12-18 month period to see what sort of complete streets elements can be put in place on projects that we're currently delivering. For those interested, NEVI, EV infrastructure program has been on pause for a while now. We are getting some signaling that the administration will be reinstituting it at some point, but it's probably gonna look different. The way the funds are used, the way the overall program is defined will probably look different whenever it does come back out. And just as an aside, if any of you know or worked with Curtis Nozzle in our team, he recently submitted his resignation. He's moving on to the consulting world. So if NEVI does come out before we get that refilled, it will probably be Ryan Huff leading that initiative until he fills that spot. That's all I have.
Trail project under construction, Beltline Trail Phase 3 that I mentioned with Trailhead. Beltline Trail Phase 4 from Adams Park North, pre-construction meeting next week. And then the Girard connection from 72nd Street, which ties into that underpass. Complications in the field, but they're moving along. And then on a federal aid project, appreciate NDOT support on the Elkhorn River Trail Bridge, and we're moving that from the conceptual phase into the full design phase here soon. So staff has been very dedicated at encouraging me to move paperwork along quickly, so I appreciate their reminders on that. PCM 0 coming up soon. Thanks.
Major stuff, county, Q Street is closing Monday, west of 193rd or 4th, out to 204th. So that gets started. 4th Street east and west of 204th has got a couple different projects going on. 156th north of Ida, 168th and Ida. Those are the major ones. So northwest Douglas County, yeah, construction is here and so are the delays. So I apologize, but that's what's going on.
We've got our East La Vista Sanitary Sewer Street project. Looks like we're maybe about a month out of getting that project completed. That's been going for 2.5 years, so be nice to get that one off the books. All of our pavement work this year is all residential stuff. We're in subgrade work right now, getting ready for another round of UBAS that will start in May. And we're in final design of a new signal going in at 99th and Giles Road. Just north of 99th there's a new multifamily project that is sort of met the warrants now. Thank you.
Anything else?
Building's got our extended our contracts for UBAS and base repairs, mostly residential, this year, spending year. And then we got one lane closed, 72nd for south or northbound Schramm for some turn lane extensions for development there. And then just kind of ongoing on our SPG project on Portal Road from 72nd to 84th, still in the beginning of the survey side and easement portion. Same.
City of Omaha projects I know from the design group, 250 Cumberland is still closed for the roundabout construction.
I don't know when that's scheduled to be done.
If
you don't probably be on.
I think it's, but
So also.
it looks like it's may take longer.
Okay.
Usually the location
Okay.
issues, so. And then starting May 3rd, South Creek Road from Hamilton to Phoenix will be closed. So if you're taking your moms to home for Mother's Day.
Man, I love it. Bob likes that champagne on tap. Oh. Anything from the, that anybody would like to talk about? Okay, is there any online participants that would like to give any updates? Hearing none,
Is that meeting that we had at your office last week, is that still public or is that still kind of?
is that the triathlon field?
Is that public with no knowledge or is that?
I don't know. I don't know that it's been officially decided upon.
Okay.
But yeah, we've had a couple of meetings. I mean, I don't think it's any big secret. Nobody's made me take an oath of silence.
Right, no NDAs or anything like that?
They were looking at having a triathlon in Omaha that would start out west and end up down at the Leahy Mall area. But it's not official yet, but was it June 26th? Was it a week before? Yeah, that's right. June 10th of June 7th of 26.
It was a Sunday, it was one day.
But they've been testing the waters with law enforcement and county highway and DOT and yeah. I don't know, anything's been decided.
Have they been physically testing the waters where they've been?
I don't know if they've tested those waters, but Lake Cunningham is currently the target.
When was Cunningham last drained?
I don't know, it's beautiful though, if you haven't been out there in a few years, go see it. Brooke Bench, Brooke Bench took over out there working with the Scott Foundation, he has I'm saying this kindly, Brooke is a fantastic person, he has unlimited funds and it is a beautiful facility, it really, really is. Omaha is lucky to have it.
Great access from the Keystone Trail, kudos to Omaha on that one.
You know, it's a really beautiful, he's got a nice campground. I laugh, Brooke and I are good friends, but they book out. All the LSU fans figured out that it's way cheaper to rent all of the Lake Cunningham campgrounds than it is to go downtown. And it's fairly close, and so they can cancel up until, I don't know, the day before or whatever, so they book it out a year in advance, and then if they don't make it to the World Series, then most of them become open, so anyway, that's kind of how it went down last year, but it's a beautiful facility. Anything else, I guess, I'll talk really quickly about future meetings and events. There's a MAPA Board meeting on April 24th. Our back meeting on June 6th, and we will be back here on May 16th. And that is the end of my agenda, so unless you have anything else, I'm gonna call for an adjournment.
Thanks, do we have any additional business,
Bless you.
You wanna expose?
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
And I.
Opposed? Do what you want.